Hello and welcome back to the only show with more TIE fighters than a quadriplegic boxing match at the Special Olympics. I'm Max.
I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
And this is Force for Thought. Alright, hello and welcome back to Force for Thought. Today we are discussing Mando Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. Luke, you look like you were thinking really hard about that.
About your joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still not there. I was gonna catch up on my when I listened back to the podcast. Quadriplegic
TIE fighters.
Quadriplegic boxing match. They're TIE fighters.
Because they can't punch each other. Every game would be a tie.
I was just in that a little peek behind the curtain for the listener or viewer. We sometimes say jokes that we definitely cut just to try to kind of get one another, and I thought that was one of them. I did not think that was the real one. I was waiting for Max to be like...
That's why I wanted to ask Luke about it, because I didn't know if we would keep it or not. But Luke, I was like, I feel like Luke would have said something by now.
I thought you went the racial route. 'Cause Family Guy makes that joke too, TIE fighters, and there's a TIE guy in the ship. But no.
Oh, they do.
Fighters that tie a lot.
About that.
That's hysterical.
Fighters that tie. All right, but anyway. Hello and welcome back. Today we are discussing Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. And right away, I take back everything that I said about last episode. This is my favorite episode of the season. I forgot how great this episode is. And I have a bunch of high-level thoughts. I have a bunch of very specific nitpicks that I'm excited to talk about. But overall, I absolutely love this episode. I think it's so funny that my favorite episode thus far is going back to give like an oddly moving story arc to one of the most random characters from Season 1 who happened to be played by Bill Burr. Because it's still definitely Bill Burr. Like, I'm not really getting over that, but... It is what it is. I like the character a lot because this episode gave him an odd amount of depth. But we also got to see more Boba Fett in action. I've realized that I think the thing that makes Boba Fett work is he's like the ultimate number 2. And maybe that's a big part with the Book of Boba Fett. They tried centering the whole movie or the whole show around him. Whereas like in this episode, especially in the very intro when they recruit Miggs Mayfeld, and there's that funny beat where he sees Boba Fett and he's like, oh, I thought you were someone else for a second. And Boba Fett's just standing there like a badass. The way he just moves out of the way for Mandalorian, I can't explain it, but there's just a certain aura about Boba Fett in that moment where I'm like, man, Boba Fett is such a badass. And then he gives even more weight to Mandalorian coming down the ramp, and then like Miggs Mayfeld lets out a sigh.
It's the same thing, but yet funny, the funny version of that when he was like, how about you, Boba? And he was like, let's just say that they might recognize my face. Like, it's the same.
That's such a good line.
It's
a
stellar
line.
Levels.
Maybe
fantastic. I stole that, but I laughed so hard that line, and I feel like, but it feels like the same thing. He lofts it, and so Mandalorian or another character can just hit a fucking home run every single time, and he's really good at that. Unfortunately, I think Fennec Shan in Book of Boba Fett throws the same kind of balls, and he just fucking whiffs it, is unfortunately.
Well, we're not on to our Book of Boba Fett rewatch quite yet, but those are my high-level thoughts. I absolutely love this episode. Matthew, what do you have to think about it? Or what do you have to say about it?
I like to think about it.
Think about it.
Yes.
Yeah, keep it in your head. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I've talked enough.
Please share.
This is my favorite episode of the series so far. Yeah, it's great. It's my favorite episode of the show thus far, and obviously the season. I meant to say that in reverse order. But yeah, I think it's fantastic to be able to bring back Bill Burr, like you said, who is a character that doesn't really need any more explaining, but to give them that depth, I think shows you how much depth all these other characters could potentially have. And then when you rewatch those episodes, can even go a little further and add that meaning to it. Yeah, I mean, this is an episode that's 35 minutes, I think, before credits. And so it felt longer. And this is, I think, the first episode of this whole show that feels longer than it actually is. I was like, oh yeah, that's sectioned off into this part. Like the cold open when they get Migs Mayfield is a great little opener. And then when they're on the transport back, and then with Boba Fett, and then when they're on the convoy, and then they're in, they're facing, forget his name, the spooky guy from all the Rob Zombie movies, and then their escape. Like, it's sectioned off so well that, like,
it makes sense that guy's in Rob Zombie.
Doesn't
movies.
it? He's also in Game of Thrones, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was just about to look it up.
I love this episode, top level. Again, it's the only episode that feels longer than it actually is. Usually they feel shorter, and this in the best possible way. This feels adequately long, and I think it gives attention to each character and sets it up amazing for the finale. I also think episode 8 is going to be my favorite still, but my God, like I really, really like this episode. Lucas.
Luke?
I agree 100%. Favorite episode of the series, but by a pretty easy margin, honestly. I applauded
Really?
at the end, which I've been applauding more and more in my daily life because my kids are starting to applaud more, and I think it's funny. But I was alone watching this, and I just slow clapped. It was so good, start to end. There was the parts that I remembered that I knew I was gonna love: the seismic charge, the Operation Cinder conversation, and shooting the guy. I totally forgot about the tank fight. The transport fight, which should have been mentioned in our best fight scenes not involving space or lightsabers. That was an incredible fight scene, and it was like the third or fourth best part of this episode. Absolutely phenomenal episode. Best Mandalorian episode I've seen yet.
Here.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty.
Guys, I can't believe it.
Talked a lot about.
We're all agreeing like so much on this whole show. It's nuts.
This show's amazing.
It hits me. It's crazy every
this?
single time.
This thing is unbelievable.
Just a couple weeks ago, or probably months ago now, we were talking about whether or not it was, or debating whether it was the biggest cultural phenomenon ever, or since Game of Thrones, or including Game of Thrones. I don't want to rehash that conversation, but
no, we do
even
not.
Even in light of that conversation, I feel like we're underrating this show as a society. Like, I know it's a big deal.
I agree,
but
Luke,
guys,
which is
it's
why.
really good.
I do not think the show is underrated. I think it is very, very good and adequately rated by society.
Just wait till season 3. We're like, oh man, why?
I know.
What did you
I
do to
am
my
a little
boy?
worried about it.
There's some episodes in season 3 I go back and rewatch quite frequently, honestly. All right, but let's get into it, starting with the specific scenes, starting with Mayfeld being recruited. We already kind of talked about that a lot. Just seeing the planet, the scrapyard that New Republic prisoners are forced to work at as a labor camp. I don't know. Kind of makes you question some of the ethics of the New Republic. I thought that was interesting.
It's not quite a labor camp. It's scrapping old TIE fighters. So it's like, clean up your own mess, Like, you did this, you're Imperial.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like they're just mining resources. I had that same thought, and I got over it.
I wouldn't be... I probably wouldn't get even think about it if I didn't make a big deal a couple episodes ago about how they also brought back indentured servitude pretty quickly with Mithril working off like hundreds of years worth of debt and being forced to put in life-threatening situations because of it. When you add those two things together, you question some of the ethics of the New Republic.
Yes, that was debt, and that's not quite the same as crimes, which I'm also more okay with. Like, an indentured servant being a criminal, I'd be more okay with than an indentured servant just being someone that's poor.
Yes.
But yeah, seeing that planet was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
it looks...
Yeah, seeing all the deconstructed TIE fighters is super satisfying, the iconography of it all.
It looks expensive, too. Like,
it's a good example of just like something on screen that just looks good to look at, which was our biggest complaint about last week's episode, which was a fantastic episode. The problem was it was just set in a location that was just not interesting to look at in any way.
Yep.
This one was, and it was beautiful, and it was also grainy. It was like dark and overcast. And again, I'm really think I'm figuring out what makes the aesthetic of Star Wars work. It needs to be dirty. It can't be this clean blue sky.
Scarif looks cool.
Is it because of all the explosions? How do
Yeah,
they
you
make
can't have
Scarif
sweeping
work?
generalizations like
Scarif does
this.
definitely work. All right, yeah, all right. I take back everything I just
Sweeping generalizations.
said. And then we get the scene of, like I talked about before, of Miggs running into Mando. I love that little beat. But maybe one of the best moments of the whole episode is when they get inside Slave One and we see the gyroscopic innards for the first time. That was crazy. I am blown away by the interior of Slave One.
Yeah, I agree.
glad-
and I
yeah.
remember being blown away by that when I first saw it, and they knocked it out of the park. When from what we saw in the original trilogy and Attack of the Clones, you would think it's like a quasi single-seater fighter. Like obviously Boba was next to Jango in Episode 2, but like the back of the ship, you thought was like the back of the ship. But and I was thinking that on this watch just now, and I was like, but why do we see the back of the ship when we see the cockpit view? And it's like just upstairs. It's like 2 levels that all gyroscopes, and yeah, perfect. Before we leave this planet, even though I did defend the slavery or whatever you want to call it of the criminals, I think that's more or less okay. But
Labor camp.
the New Republic droids definitely whoop on these criminals. He was like, follow or else, pulls out electrostaff. I was like, oh, now we're getting into Imperial territory.
Here we go.
Yeah, they have to rely on droids. A human might have morals. A droid they can just program to keep these people in line at all costs, apparently.
That's true.
All right. And then we get the scene where they kind of discuss the plan a little bit, and then they go to Morak where they scope out the facility, and they kind of all give reasons why they can't do the job. And they were all good reasons, too. I don't know why that stood out to me, but it was like, yeah, this makes logical sense. I feel like they really, for some reason, really thought it out in the writer's room, and they were like, oh, this makes perfect sense. We got to say it. But
For a show that
It's
feels a lot like a video game, this actually felt more like a TV show. And I don't mean that in necessarily a bad way the entire time, but like, it's like, oh yeah, like that does make a lot of sense. Why each it's not like, oh, you go because you are the main character or something. It's like, oh no, this is everyone actually has a genuine reason to not go.
Right, and you didn't need to over-explain it. Fennec Shand said, I'm wanted by the ISB-2. That's all I need to know. And we see some of that in The Bad Batch. She's a bounty hunter, and she's operating around the age of the Empire. And, you know, yada, 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 whatever. The Boba Fett comment, let's just say they might recognize my face. That's, I've said this about a few other things. It's the perfect intersection of makes sense for the viewer that hasn't seen Star Wars before and is a little something extra for the viewer that does get the inside joke. Like, if you didn't know that Boba was the clone template for the clone army, it's just like the same as Fennec Shand. Like, oh, they would recognize him too. Okay. But knowing what we know, that it doesn't stick out, and yet it just gives so much more.
Mm-hmm.
yes, it just works on so many levels. That line fires on all cylinders. I don't know why we're making such a big deal about that line, but yeah, it's so great.
You mentioned something.
And then also...
Sorry, go on.
Also, that same sequence, I forget who said it. George, maybe John Favreau. He said that it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does believe in itself when talking about like Star Wars as a whole, and that applied very well to this whole story arc of Mando can't take off his helmet. It's like we don't really peel back the layers on it too much, but boy, is that the internal logic of this story. That won't happen. Like us watching it, I'm just thinking like, oh my god, just do it. Like, you got to do it. You're gonna do it. Just take off your helmet. But Miggs Mayfield's like, can't do it. No one's gonna. These 3 people can't go, and you'd have to take off your helmet. Oh well. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it does believe in itself. I liked that.
I've never heard that interview. That's a great line. I love that. All right, so then we find out more of the plan, and then Miggs and Mando hijack one of these tanks. Mando obviously dons the costume, and then they get into a little bit of trouble on the road. They fight the locals, but let's talk a little bit about that conversation, because I feel like
yes, I bet you're going to say the same thing as my note.
What are you going to say? You say it.
Empire, New Republic, we're here, we're out here, we're all the same. That line from Miggs Mayfeld. The New Republic is not out there harvesting their resources. This is still the Empire. There was the Empire that was bad then, it's the Empire that's bad now.
I did have that thought, but I also like the other line too, where he said, "Way I see it, so long as you can sleep at night, you're doing better than most."
That's a good line.
It's such a good conversation between the two of them. It gives character development into both of them. Like you see Miggs Mayfeld, who really is a character we weren't expecting to see any growth out of. We weren't expecting to see him again. But how he also kind of pushes Mando into having to, break his own rules in order to save Grogu. But yeah, I absolutely love that scene. I like the shot where they're just driving through the town and you kind of see the locals and the impact that the Empire is having there. I have that note as well that he talks about New Republic, Empire's all the same. It's like, no, just the Empire, absolutely. And then Matt, you literally just said it didn't feel like a video game, but it did have one very big video game moment where the intercoms came on and they were like, Truck 2, you seem to be running a little hot. Make sure you keep it down.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, I wonder if that's going to come into play.
Yep. That's so funny. Yeah.
I mean, it was like an amusement park ride moment where they're like, okay, we lost Transport 4 and 5. You're the last one. You got to make it.
Yes.
But man, do I love when that happens in the music part, right? Yeah.
And I always do it too, guys. I'm so good at it. All right, and then they get into this fight with the locals. I don't even know what species it is. They kind of look like Iktachi, but
it was unique.
not.
I described them as flappy Iktachi because they weren't like horns.
Flappy.
They were a little more flappy, but they had the same silhouette.
Let's pray you never meet one. After that comment
is the species of what's his name, Saci Tin, the Jedi, who I believe is Matt's fan favorite.
Yeah.
Or your, I don't know what to describe it. Guilty pleasure? I don't want to describe it as guilty.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. That is, I do love Saci. He's a great action figure. I love Saci Tin. But also, I'm a plug. Yeah, Saci Tin. Yes.
It's a glupshido.
What? That is Saci Tin.
Is the term in the Star Wars fandom. The random side character that you have an unnecessary fondness of.
Don't you even go there.
I think Saci
Mine's Kit
is
Fisto.
above that level, though. Those characters are bigger than a Glubshido.
Kit Fisto might be. CC Tin's really not.
Okay, they gotta be identical.
Saci Tin.
Kit Fisto has several episodes in the Clone Wars.
Screen time.
Plo
Screen
Koon,
time,
Saci
it's
Tin,
very similar.
All three of those are sister characters together.
Plo Koon has a ton of screen time in the Clone Wars, and Kit Fisto has a lot more than CC Tin.
But Saci Tin's got the presence.
He does. Even in the Living Force, though, CC Tin is barely in it. It's a book about the 12 Jedi Council members, and CC Tin is the 12th most common one.
I know, but man, every single time he's mentioned, I get excited.
He definitely flew that ship for a little while.
Do we want to talk? Luke, you mentioned a little bit about the action on the tank. A lot of hand-to-hand combat. The gun jams. He has to throw it at him, and then it's all hand-to-hand from there.
Yeah,
great,
I'm glad
done,
I didn't
good
remember.
Choreography.
I'm glad I didn't remember this fight scene because I got to experience it fresh all over again. When Mando first goes out there with the blaster and all these people have sticks, it's like, oh my god, this is a massacre. GG, folks. And then it jams after like the third guy he kills. I'm like, okay, now we're going to make it more interesting fight. And it's very well choreographed. They did a good job of composing like the action. It could have been a little bit tighter. There were 2 times when Mando does an action, and I remember the first time he like threw the guy in front of the transport, and then Miggs drove over him, and you like saw the thuds under as he drove over him, and that was funny. And then it cut back, and Mando was still facing the front, and someone attacked him from behind. The way it was presented, because we saw an action in between there, it felt like Mando had just been sitting there stationary looking forward for a while, and then someone attacked his back. So like, but that felt nitpicky, but I've never really had that exact complaint. And then it happened, almost the exact same thing happened a little while later in this same sequence. So that felt a bit choppy, but He javelined a guy. I love seeing javelins in combat whenever I get an opportunity to.
Sick.
And then the way it ended with Mando, we say he's a bad fighter, and he held his own here. He was like a 1v10 or whatever. He did great, but then he just has the heart of stone when there's 4, I think, transports, all carrying 3 to 6 pirates, all coming at him, all arming thermal detonators. He's sitting on a pot of rhydonium, and he just tosses up his fists like, all right, let's get it on. Like, no, you're dead. And then the TIE fighters come, and it's a victorious TIE fighter moment, which we'd never seen in Star Wars and never seen since.
Oh, yeah.
I so rarely get an experience when I'm watching Star Wars, and I'm like, this is the only time I've seen this. And
Yeah.
they did it, and it was great. And then all the stormtroopers and shore troopers, tank troopers, saluting as they drove in, and getting to see like pro-Imperial moment, but not like making it weird. I don't know, pro-Imperial stuff, and it was like internally consistent. I loved that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. During the fight, I think one thing that pushed Mando into having to be a good fighter for this fight was the fact that he didn't have his Beskar, and they like even addressed it within the fight choreography, because one
shattered.
of the first blows comes and he tries to block it with his bracer or whatever, and it just shatters into a million pieces, and like he like acts like it hurt really bad, which it would. But I was like, oh yeah, he can't do that anymore, can he?
And then he looks at the camera and says, "Rut-row."
That's a really good callback. I missed that. I saw it shatter, but I didn't think about how it's because he doesn't have Beskar, and that sucks.
Yeah, that is super
that's
smart,
just
though.
what he's used to. He's used to tanking it. Now he can't. So yeah, I really like that beat, and yes, getting the opportunity to finally root for the TIE fighters was refreshing.
Yes.
Because as a kid, you see the TIE fighters, and you're always infatuated by them. They look awesome.
The noise is
Now we
scary.
get to root for them. Yeah, a little scream it does. And then Luke, like you said, they kind of enter, they're saluted, they're given a hero's welcome back at the refinery, and they find a terminal, but Miggs can't access it because Valen Hess is in the way, who Miggs Mayfeld used to report under. So Mandalorian decides to take off his helmet because the Imperial computer requires a facial scan. Now, I remember when this episode came out that this was like a big point of contention because people were like, oh, it needs a facial scan. That's why they needed Miggs Mayfeld, because he was ex-Imperial. And then Mando did it, and it worked. And everyone was like, oh, wait a minute, is Mando ex-Imperial? No, that doesn't make any sense. And then it was like, does this just need to track anyone's face who accesses it? Can anyone in the world open this web browser? You just need to show your face first, and lo and behold, that's pretty much what it is, because obviously Mando isn't ex-Imperial or anything like that. But I remember, I don't know if you guys do either, I remember that being a big talking point at the time that this came out.
Yep. I remember talking to one of our friends was looking for things to complain about it, and this was definitely one of them.
Watching.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, well, of course this happened because of this or whatever. And I feel like in the real world, when you go to Disney or something, right, everyone, like, you just like scan your finger into something. I feel like in my mind that is like what this is equivalent to. Is to be like, hey, if you want to access this, it's like logging into a computer at the library. It's like, oh yeah, we know who's watching the porn. It's this fucking weirdo who's always here at this time, and he's logging into it. And so I think it's just one of those things that is just keeping track. And so I don't think, all right, the plan is to get in and get out. I think that if Mando was gonna stay there for a little bit, he's gonna get found out pretty quick. But I don't think that was the goal. So yeah, I did not have a problem with this whatsoever. But that's not a surprise because I like to enjoy things.
It was the whole sequence that we were gushing over just a few minutes ago. The Cara Dune, Fennec Shand, and Boba can't go because they're in the Imperial database as wanted or known, and so they can't go. It just needed to be someone that was in neutral to good standing with the Empire.
Yes.
So they're just checking to make sure that the person accessing the terminal isn't a wanted criminal?
Yes.
Or is not checking to see if they are like a registered Imperial officer or anything.
I think if they were to, I don't think it's going to be a 1-for-1, right? Like it's going to scan and then all of a sudden alert everyone that this is a bad guy that who's wanted. But I think that they're going to get clocked pretty quick, presumably. Like just say you scan it and then it goes to tab, just like when you're watching football, it's going up to New York and they're going to review it real quick. I think it's that kind of thing. I don't think it's going to instantly be like bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. But I think they're
if they stayed around a little bit longer, someone would have called in and been like, "Hey, you guys need to find this guy. We don't have record of him."
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the same thing. I mean, with Boba Fett or something too. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking myself into a corner of what this is. I haven't thought about too hard about it in a long time, but yeah. Max, does it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me
No,
at all. I just remember it wasn't entirely clear when it first came out, but in hindsight, we know how it works, so it doesn't bother me.
I don't remember that discourse, and I don't see the contradiction. Like that's what the whole episode was about. That Mando had to go because they didn't know his face. And that's why Boba Fett's line was so good.
Yeah, but that line still works if they didn't need to scan his face. I mean, they would still know who he is the gist of what he was getting at.
If he never had to remove his helmet, it wouldn't be. Or I guess we didn't think they would need to remove his helmet.
Yeah, Mando didn't go because he was going to remove his helmet. That was a...
Right. Because Miggs was going to do it.
Now I'm confusing myself. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it doesn't bother me. I just remember that being a talking point. But anyways, he removes his helmet and then he's confronted by Valen Hess. And then there's that awesome moment where obviously he freezes. He doesn't really know what to say. He asks for his... what does he ask for? It's not his TK number.
It is his TK number.
Something.
But he says it different.
No,
your designation.
He says it different though. Yeah,
Something
designation unit. He says, "What's your designation unit?" And he says, "Ground transport." And then he says it again, and then he says, "What's your TK number?" And then that's when Miggs Mayfeld comes in and explains, "Oh, this is my what does he call him? His superior, or whatever. He's hard of hearing. You have to speak up around him." And I was like, "Oh." That's such a good way to play that off because that didn't make any sense what Mando just said.
And I feel like the fact that Bill Burr is the one who says it feels so right as well. Because I feel like he's got that confidence of like that New Yorker. You're like, yeah, it must be true if he says it like that. He's a Boston guy, I think. But either way, I'm like, yeah, like that. Like he is the perfect person to deliver that line.
But then it's even better because another great line in this episode is when he says for his TK number and he says, "We just call him Brown Eyes." Because it's like that's such a subtle jab at Mando in that moment that he's like, "I know what your eyes look like." You know what I mean?
I've never
and
thought about
I'm
that.
I'm sure that he hates that because I imagine, not that I think Miggs Mayfeld is going to show up in The Mandalorian and Grogu, but
I
if
think
he
he
did
is.
pop up, like if he needed another man for a job or something, and he sees him, and Miggs is just like sitting back at a sabacc table or something, and he says, well, if it isn't Brown Eyes, like he's going to say that, and Mando's not going to like that he calls him that because you can't know what he looks like.
That sounds so cool.
Maybe we do want that. So I really like that part, obviously. Because it also, I don't know, it works on multiple levels for the character of Miggs Mayfeld, that he's like stepping in, he's helping him out, but he's also kind of like having this little jab at the same time. It's so good. And then we get the sit down with Valen Hess, where they talk about the merits of the Empire versus the New Republic. Miggs Mayfeld is a little more confrontational than what is really polite. I mean, if I was Mando and I didn't know that he was about to go hot, I would be freaking out right now. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
He was. He
Why
shook
are you
his head
doing
no.
this, man? I know, but it's like, oh my gosh. The thing that I like when I see Din Djarin without his helmet on is how much less calm he constantly looks. Because it reminds you how much the helmet adds.
Yeah.
Like, it really helps provide him an additional layer of security and confidence, knowing that people can't see the look on his face, which, looking back, is probably like every moment of the show. He's probably like looking around wide-eyed like, what the hell am I going to do now? but I don't know. But yes, obviously that beat is great, and then
we
they
talked way
typically
too
salute
soon
for the Empire.
I think it was just last week we talked about Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards and how the way to portray a villain well is to believe that you are the good guy, and how that sometimes works and sometimes isn't necessary. But Valen Hess is the perfect example of that in Star Wars. Like, it's almost the same role as Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards, and the whole time, from as soon as he started talking to Din Djarin, all the way until he died, like every single one of his lines, I just leaned in closer. It was phenomenal writing and acting from that guy that was in Rob Zombie's movies. So I don't know his name.
Apparently.
But he was the standout in a standout episode for me.
Yeah, he was really good.
I 100% agree. And he was so, that was a great casting for it. Very intimidating. Almost kind of disappointed that they wasted it on a one-off episode guy who gets shot right then and there. But I feel like the weight that he brought to that small role really hit home when he was shot. Because if it was just like an over-the-top, like really hamming it up Imperial officer, and then he dies, it's kind of like, oh no, like the bad guy died. But now it's like, oh man, like there was, you can feel the heaviness in the room when that happens. And I love the beat where they look around and they just like make eye contact with another trooper who's right there, and they kind of think for a second, like, are we doing this? Don't know how we talk our way out of this one. And then they pull out their blasters and start going at it. It's such a great scene.
I tried to make it a meme format, and it was one of my favorite memes that I've ever made myself, because the discourse around season 2 when it was coming out was like whether or not we want Mandalorian to be an original story or to be cameo fest and everything, and there were pros and cons to each side. And it was a good conversation. And then after the last episode with Luke Skywalker, I made the meme of that guy saying people think they want an original story, but what they really want is more Luke Skywalker, which is so true. Like, you can watch 15 episodes of The Mandalorian and be like, oh, it's such a good follow-up to the original trilogy, and it's unique storytelling, and Mandalorian is such an interesting character. Oh, but there's Luke Skywalker. Okay, this is the best part of it.
That's so funny, Luke. That's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Luke's meme is really good. Like, I don't want it to be true, but it definitely is true.
Right. In theory, you want an original story, but in actuality, you want Luke Skywalker.
It depends, right? Like, in Andor, I don't want Luke Skywalker.
And it does deliver both in that moment. I disagree that those are necessarily opposing beliefs.
I agree. Yeah, and Matt, that was an excellent point. Like, I don't want Luke Skywalker in Andor, and I'm glad that we have Andor, but boy, Luke Skywalker's really cool.
Yeah, well done, Luke, is what I'm saying to you.
All right, so then they start to escape out the window. Fennec Shand and Cara Dune provide some sniper support. Now, this is a nitpick, but it also really bothered me.
The guy under the window.
No, I love that.
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's like, there's got to be a better way to do that. No, it's when the girls are sniping and they have their eyeballs like pressed tight against the scope, because like that's not how you use a scope. Like, and I understand like these aren't real guns. Like, maybe there's absolutely zero kickback with these, and in this universe, that's just how you look through a scope. But when I look at it, it's just like, it looks like a child playing with a toy. And it's the thumbnail for this episode actually on IMDb, because I have it pulled up right now. And every time I look at it, I'm just like,
son of a bitch.
You're gonna lose an eye if you do that. That's not how you do it.
That's really true. Scopes are annoying to use, though. I feel like you're gonna find that little thing going around, and it's the worst.
It's not nearly as bad
I feel
as
like they're high tech in Star Wars, which is why in my head I'm like, it's not like a continuity thing. This isn't like an error by any means. You know, like I said, like maybe they just have no kickback. This is how you use it. Ming-Na Wen is obvious, or Fennec Shan is obviously a highly decorated assassin. So like, who am I to tell her how to do her job? Clearly, she knows.
They have the shoulder stock pushed up against their shoulders still. So in theory, they, even if there was a small amount of kickback, they should be able to tank it with their shoulder and not their eye. it was way worse on the Gorman, when Cassian was only able to construct like a third of his sniper, and he didn't have the bump stock, but it was clearly supposed to be there and it was missing, and he held his rifle up to his eye. That was a broken eye coming when he was gonna assassinate.
He was just using that to look through the scope, though, wasn't he? Wasn't he just looking across the street or across the apartment?
No, he was about to take the shot until Cyril tackled him.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was gonna get Dedra.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that then.
Speaking of
you can just
Cyril
re-listen
Karn,
to our podcast because you said this then.
Yeah.
Oh, did I? Oh, good.
Yes.
I'm glad that I'm being consistent about
It's
it.
a consistent theme.
I don't remember it, but I'm glad that I've talked about it once and that I'm doing this with other people who have better memory than me.
Sorry, Matt, what were you going to say about Cyril?
I was just going to say, I have seen Kyle Soller in like 3 movies in the past week, and it's been delightful to see him again and alive.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say I saw him in the park or something like that. I saw him at a conference. I thought for sure you were about to...
Saw him at Giant Eagle. He was shopping at Mark's.
Hey, fingers crossed he's in a movie at Sundance this year. That is somebody that I would be excited to see. Beyond excited to see. We'll see tomorrow. The movies are announced tomorrow. That's what I'm doing tomorrow at work. I'm very excited.
That's probably the most exciting thing happening tomorrow.
Your work told you you're definitely going, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're going. I'm not sure for how long. They said go for the full week, and I was like, I have a baby at home. I would like not do that.
For those listening and don't know when we're recording, tomorrow is Max's birthday. Is the joke that I was making?
It is. Maxed.
I didn't even hear what you say. What did you say? Were you wishing me a happy birthday?
No, I said that's definitely the most important thing happening tomorrow.
Max1210@gmail.com.
Matt's going to see the announcement, and then he's going to want to talk about it and be like, fuck, I got to text Max happy birthday real quick first.
No, I already...
Also, have you guys seen this?
I already have happy birthday, Maxwell, lovey text drafted in my phone to you.
You do not. Do you really?
Yeah, I write them early.
You are such a good friend. That's awesome.
I don't think you've ever once forgotten.
No, I've never forgotten.
Well, what else happens? I'm trying to go back over my notes now. I forgot where we were. Yada, yada, yada. They get into a little shootout. Oh, and then Boba Fett comes with Slave One to save the day. And then Miggs Mayfeld gets to take that shot to blow up the Rhydonium refinery, which was such a good beat. And as I was rewatching this episode...
I like the way you said that. Rhydonium factory. That was pretty good.
Do I sound like that big of a nerd? That's just
no,
it
wasn't even nerdy. It was just like, I don't know. It was pretty good.
I over-enunciate, I have been told. But I like it when he takes that shot. When I was watching this episode, I even had the thought to myself that they made a big deal about him being an ex-Imperial sharpshooter and, like, distinguishing that from being a stormtrooper. And I was like, that never really came up. Like, it was mostly just kind of closer combat in Season 1, this Mig Mayfeld episode. But we never really see him, like, utilize that skill at all. And then I had that answered for me at the very end of this episode. He takes that, whatever he called that rifle.
Cycler rifle.
The cycler rifle. And, yeah, he hits the Rhydonium, and it blows up the entire thing, and it was super satisfying.
Yep.
And he says, need to be able to sleep at night. We call back to that conversation
earlier.
And then
it was a callback.
Great writing.
Yep. 10 out of 10.
Such a good episode.
It's an amazing
it is such a good episode.
And then
said this is
Boba drops a seismic
Luke,
charge.
You said it's your favorite of the series by far, and I feel like that blew me away, but I think this might be my favorite of the series so far. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then they get away, and then, yes, thank you for bringing that up as well, Luke. They drop the seismic charge, which is more fan service than not, but excellent. Very well done.
Right. Is it convenient that those TIE fighters are positioned at equal height? I don't even know how to describe the coincidence that went into making that shot so perfect, and I don't care about it at all. That's exactly what I wanted to see, and I got it.
Yes.
Exactly. And then they get to the end, and they decide to let Miggs Mayfeld go, which is a nice little moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll land on his feet. He'll get off planet somehow. But I did think to myself, like, I'm glad that they are stranding him there. You know, it's still like a little bit of like we are letting you go, but we're not making it easy for you.
Yes. It
you
gave
can
me
go
that feeling.
be a hunter-gatherer in that village.
Yes. You know, when you're like, this is such a very specific and random moment, and I feel like we've all experienced in our lives that it happens very rarely. But you were like, when you're on a trip or something, and you're like, oh, I don't know anybody around me. I don't have any sort of resources. I don't have a car with me. Like, I'm just in this random town, and I have to figure my way around. It's the extreme version of that, where it's weirdly freeing in a way, because I have to start over in a weird way. In our scenario, in this, it's for a couple hours. In his scenario, it's for his life. But I got that same feeling where I'm like, what do you do? You have the whole world's in front of you. What are you gonna do at that time?
World's your oyster.
Do you think he was going to be in Rangers of the New Republic? Should that show have been made? I kind of got the vibe that he would have been.
I didn't even think about that.
Would have been cool.
Yeah,
that would have made that show much better for me. Yeah,
that show was already going to be awesome because Cara Dune is so much cooler than I thought she was.
She really is. Like,
you see that I disagree with.
Really?
The character of Cara Dune. Yeah, I don't know. She does not. I don't know. She just doesn't do it for me.
I'm
I
pro
feel like
Fennec
Gina
Shan.
Carano is just not that great of an actress. Her line delivery oftentimes just feels like she's acting. I don't know how to describe it.
I would.
That's
agree
fair.
with
I know
that.
exactly what you mean, and I am just A-okay with it.
I agree.
I mean, she's not in Sophie's Choice up there. Like, she's not doing that much acting. Your job is to just be an action character in an action show, and she does it so well.
The first time that I said this a couple episodes back, though, I said it as a compliment to her, though, because I said that she was casted because she is a badass. I mean, I'm pretty sure she was like an MMA fighter or something before doing this. So it's like, you don't need to act that hard. Like, you can just be yourself, pretty much. But I don't know. All right, and then that brings us to the end of the episode where Mandalorian then sends his own message for Moff Gideon. And obviously it was basically a word-for-word, reboot of the message that Moff Gideon left Mando at the end of Season 1, Episode 7, but obviously with his own little spin on it.
Proper pronouns.
Another nice callback. Well done.
That's how I imagine, like, somebody quits their job. Is like, that's such a sassy email to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Max, you said you have a force for thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're gonna find out.
Because I was gonna present this as a force for thought if I had to, but it's really just more about the episode. But the way Cara Dune lets Miggs Mayfeld go at the end, great story beat for Miggs and Mando and Cara Dune and everything. But she pulled strings with the New Republic to get this prisoner out for a mission and got him killed. There's got to be repercussions for that, right? You can't do
She's
that.
Gonna have some explaining to
I
do.
mean,
I
they're
would
making
certainly
them
hope
do
so. If there's no questions asked, then everything I say stands about the New Republic's morals.
I mean, they're kind of doing slave labor, so I don't think they're really gonna. I don't think they care that much.
It's not slave labor because they're making them clean up their own mess because they were Imperial and they're cleaning up Imperial ships. But because they were Imperial and then you have to go fight the Imperials and die fighting the Imperials, that sounds more sinister to me. And you're right. I get the vibe that the New Republic just got that report from Cara Dune. Like, oh, that prisoner that I took out for a mission? Yeah, he died on the mission. See ya. And that's the end of that.
Yeah, they're just like, well, we got bigger fish to fry.
Which I'm
pretty
Karn
sure is actually a pretty big plot point in Season 3. So clock this conversation. Remember this for Season 3. When what's-his-name character comes in, who I don't even know if he's ever named.
Dr. Pershing?
No. The New Republic officer that Carson Teva talks to a couple times. He's that black actor that's in everything. He has a very minor role in...
A black guy in Star
tons of
Wars?
Stuff. Yeah, I mean, super minor role, but yes.
Who is it?
I feel like I can name the 4 or 5 in all of canon.
Oh my
Wim,
gosh,
Wim's
okay.
dad.
Let me try to look it up real quick.
And it's
Hold on
not
for a
Carl
second.
Weathers.
Well, you want to just round out the whole list? Mace Windu and Lando. It's not either of them. Not young
is
Lando.
it Tim Meadows?
I don't know. I gotta find an episode.
The comedian?
That he's in.
Yeah, isn't it Tim Meadows?
The guy that goes to
Meadows.
Chili's with Michael Scott.
Yes.
Yes. The Office is one of them.
The SNL.
That guy is going to be in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
What do you mean going to be? He was Luke 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
So you agree with me though? He's
He's in it.
He's in everything, right? I mean,
Deservedly
I just
so.
pulled up.
He was
Meadows.
the cannibal in
He's on
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That was hilarious.
Exactly.
Bob's Burgers, Peacemakers, Simpsons.
Oh yeah, he is one of those guys who I feel like was really big in like the '90s and then faded away.
Oh
a little
yeah,
bit.
he was. He was the New Republic officer.
Colonel Tuttle is his name.
Oh, it's such a good name for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in The Mandalorian
Oh,
season 3.
He's in The Pirate. That makes sense because I said there's an episode that I go back and rewatch often, and it's The Pirate. Okay.
Why?
That makes sense
What else
why
is
I
in that
remember him so
episode?
well.
I guess I'll see in a
It's
couple
such
weeks.
a good
but
episode. You'll see. It'll knock your socks off. It's a great
I'm excited.
episode. All right. Any other notes about Mandalorian?
It just keeps getting better and better. The show is amazing.
We'll see if next week somehow tops it.
To-
We don't know.
To
It
quote
might.
one of
That's
my
what's
favorite,
insane.
I agree. I think next week's my favorite. To quote one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite bands, it just keeps getting better.
That's sounds like poetry.
Yeah,
What band was that?
can't think of their name. Something with a Friends reference.
Fuck you.
The Globe Hop Jiggly Jams.
All right. Thank you. Give them a listen. They're on Spotify. All right. Well, does anyone have any force for thought? I do. So I was rewatching Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. You might be familiar with it, and the ending scene where the Death Star is blown up. Han and Leia are on Endor, and Han says something to the effect of, "I'm sure Luke made it out okay," and she says, he did. I know he did." And then she kind of like looks longingly in the distance, and Han's like, "You love him, don't you?" And she looks at Han, and she's like, "Well, yes." And then Han's just like, "All right, I understand. When he comes back, I won't interfere." And then Leia's like, "It's not like that. He's my brother." And she just says it so condescending, and I'm just like, "Bitch, you found out about this like 5 minutes ago. Like, you know you are absolutely rocking his world right now with this information, and you're just trying to lay it on like this is so obvious, like you knew the entire time." And like maybe you had a feeling, you knew something was up with this farm boy, but like give him a little break here.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's that's a really good call.
But man,
Leia's
as the
kind
audience,
of a dick. That's why she's perfect for Han.
She's just sassy, and I feel like this is an excellent example of her sass, where it's just like you can definitely tone it down in this moment.
yes, I agree.
She has big main character energy. I do think that goes a long way in making her feel like a main character when she is decidedly the third most main character in this trilogy.
In the trilogy, but in that movie, much less than that, unfortunately.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
even know if I
Vader.
would say third.
Yeah,
Yeah. You got Vader.
you got Boba Fett.
Fourth,
Just
then.
kidding.
I'd be close to putting Obi-Wan up there.
I would too.
No,
right?
you wouldn't.
No,
I think you
can't put
no,
Obi-Wan
but I mean,
up
I
there,
think
not the original trilogy.
3PO and R2, I feel like debatably sometimes are more important than her, unfortunately, because as you know.
I mean, maybe in a specific scene, but no, I'd put Leia in front of the.
Oh my
droids.
God, guys, we have to redo our ranking of all the characters. We never even finished that series. Remember that when we were ranking all of them?
Oh,
and all
the
geez.
sequels.
and all the S tiers. I mean, we could go back
I have a tier maker made for the sequel.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll
I-
do
I
that
keep
in
thinking of
70
idea-
weeks.
Right, I know. We can't really take a break because we got to finish our Mandalorian rewatch before the Mandalorian and Grogu, which comes out in 5 months. That's coming right up. We need to get more
We're gonna start
excited.
pushing it
It's
real
on
soon.
us. We can't just wave our hand at society for not being excited. If not me, then who? You know, not even us. This is
not
my
Lucasfilm,
responsibility.
apparently.
5 months until we're going to see Star Wars on the big screen. Like, how many times are we're going to see it in person together, I assume, the first time? How many times are we going to see it in theaters? I'll have to watch it at least twice before we talk about it on the pod. I can't wait.
I meant to text you guys the other day. I was watching Gladiator 2. Subpar movie, if you've seen it or not.
I hear they
Have-
put sharks
was
in
good.
the Coliseum. So
They do that, and
That
that
sounds pretty
bothered
cool.
me weirdly. I was like, how with the logistics? And then, I'm not usually that guy, but I was like, the movie was so trying to be so grounded. All of a sudden, that popped up. Anyway, I was watching it. Lynn was very sick, and she came into the room. She's like, "Are you watching the new Mandalorian Grogu movie?" And I was like, Lynn, you think I'm watching the Mandalorian Grogu movie while I'm sick in bed with my head cocked and not with Max and Luke in the movie theater? I was like, there's like 7 levels of no to this to this question.
I can't. I am super excited.
I appreciate that.
Only a
You
little
see,
while
you
longer.
can edit. You can edit this part out if your answer is what I hope it is. But if you did get early access to that movie through work or whatever, would you let us know?
I definitely would never get access to that movie because they're so tight about everything. But yeah, I would. Breaking all the NDAs I've ever signed right now. At least we don't put this out.
If you sign
Wait,
an
we
NDA
release these
and then
episodes?
disclose that information to someone else, but like get them to sign an NDA, then it encompasses your NDA and it's fine again. And so then we'll just have to get all of our audience members to sign this NDA.
Yeah, Max, you're the lawyer. You
Matthew,
tell
just
us.
make sure you have a good attorney. Take to the seas. All right. Anyway, that brings it to the end of this episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you thought of... I don't have the right episode up anymore, and I already said it like 3 times. This episode of The Mandalorian. That was really good.
The
We liked it a
Believer.
lot. Reach out to us. The Believer. Reach out to us across social media, or you can email us at forceforthought@gmail.com. And we will see you next week as we wrap up Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. See you, Sammy.